Morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble servant, David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings running around out there in the universe. So, with that said, this is three in a row. Hey, Katniss, good to see you. Okay, I've got the camera turned sideways, and I still have the issue of just a little bit of chat over here on this side. But anyway, so in watching the news and things as I normally am apt to do, something kind of jumped out at me like a lion. Right? Hey, Barry, how are you? Love you too, Chloe. And good morning to you, Katniss. Um, I was gonna sort of name this video tonight. The King of Chaos is out and about and walking around, or some kind of stuff like that. Because everybody be slinging a lot of chaos right now, and the political pundits and the this and the that. But here is the reality of things, with the political stuff. And yeah, I'm not going to get into too much of it, but I have to talk political because it's a part of what's coming. And like in a week or so, like right after the first of the year, we as a nation are going to be confronted with these things, and we're going to have to choose sides, if you will. And I don't, and the war's already started. The war's been going on. If you think the Civil War is like coming up, we just haven't drawn the guns yet, you know. But before the Civil War started back in the 1860, there was a lot of rumblings between the North and the South as to who's going to do and what's going to what, and you can't make me do this, and you better do this because we said so. And there was a question to one of somebody the other day about how did the Civil War start, and she didn't mention slavery. Well, let me tell you, it had more to do with commerce than anything. But she should have said slavery because slavery was part of the commerce. But even Northerners had slaves. Some of them Northerners kept their slaves until after the war was over. Okay. And they'd already been emancipated by their own president, kind of thing. So, but anyway, folks don't really listen to what the history was, they don't pay attention. And so the war had a lot to do with states' rights. You can't tell me what to do. And so right now, the same thing is going on. The federal government and certain states are saying, like right now, this is some of the dumbest stuff, right? Whether you like Donald Trump or not, for the states to say we're not going to allow him to be on the ballot. They better not do that in Georgia. I don't know who I'm gonna have to call or do what, but they're going to be you better not do that. You better not do that. There's going to be a bunch of pissed off people in my state of Georgia. And there's still litigation going on here in the state of Georgia. So what if they say, well, no, we're gonna have to take him off the ballot? I don't know what would happen, honestly. But I know I'm going to be calling somebody. Maybe I should start looking to find out who I'm going to have to call. But how can these folks do that? I mean, really, how can these folks do that? Well, here's the thing: what It's shocking. And what has happened is that why is the title, um, you know, uh, courage in this? The cowardly lions, plural. The cowardly lions are the people who are in the Congress. Okay. I mean Congress, I mean the House and the Senate both. Okay. And they asked Marjorie Taylor Greene was on the Roseanne Barr podcast, and I happened to listen to it this evening, and I couldn't believe it. So she's talking about the things that going on in Congress and what happened and different things and and they're agreeing on almost everything. Roseanne and MTG, Miss Green. So but it was like so what's going on? Well, the the psyops is already in full swing, because what might happen, they pulled some stuff the last election. They did. And as MTG and some of her colleagues, the reason there hasn't been more investigation on these things is because these Congress people, Senate and the House both, on both sides, don't have the cojones to stand up and go, no, we're not going to do this anymore. Like the military spending bill thing, they do it every year, blah 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 blah, and they just recently tacked on a bunch of stuff, and then now people are going, wait a minute, no, we don't want to vote for that. It's supposed to be for this, and you guys, and they tack on stuff every year too, and that's been one of the issues. No, this is this spending bill, period. Oh, we got 2 minutes, and I got some in my bowl for a 20. Hey, Elderberry. Hey, Scotty, how are you? 246, the state of Colorado. I missed it. Anyway, so to the point, though, that, the Civil War started over the Southerners going, you can't tell us what to do. That's why they seceded. It wasn't just the Negroes and slavery. That was a part of it, yes, but there was a lot to do with commerce. It had a lot to do with the Northerners walking around with their chest out, going, "You people don't know what you're talking about. You people are nothing more than a bunch of, Southerners." And that it still goes on to this day. Northerners over Southerners. Southerners have, kind of proved their point. Look at Atlanta, and points down, I say down here in the South, ain't nobody rushing to go to Pennsylvania. you know, Nobody's, rushing to go to Philadelphia, or Massachusetts. There's not a great big influx of people into those northeastern states, but those northeastern states are what turned the tide and the people of the nation for the Civil War in 1860-ish. Plus, the Jesuits were behind a lot because Abraham Lincoln wrote in one of his papers before he was murdered that if it weren't for the Jesuits messing with people and stirring things up, there might not have been a civil war at all. The Jesuits, okay? That means the Vatican. That means them damn Catholics, I was born into it, Sorry about that, Chief, Hey, Scotty boy, did I say hi? I heard nobody is rushing to go to and it faded out. But this idea though that, it was just slavery. No, that is really not true. And not to put my black friends in any kind of, whatever, but it was just more complicated than that. But that wasn't the whole story. It had a lot to do with commerce, and it had a lot to do with taxes, and the Northerners wanted it their way, and the Southerners were like, you know, and we're kind of sort of still that way. I mean, look at Texas, and look at some of the Southern states now. And, they don't want to play cotton to some of this stuff that's going on. So, to that point, the state of Georgia and Alabama and Mississippi, Florida, these southern states now, if you want to argue about something in as far as the United States go, there's a lot of clout right there. And in people, not just not just in political points, but there are a lot of people who are going to stand up and go, you better not. I don't know what's going to happen if they won't allow Trump on the ballot here in Georgia for the election coming up. And why is this important? It's because they want to control the narrative. So looking forward, we're only talking 11 months from now. I mean, really. So you say, well, why are you talking about this now, Hawkeye? Because I'm pulling the Hawk card, right? And I'm reading about it. Maybe I should just pull it and read it, but looking off into the distance, which is supposed to be my job, I'm supposed to look off towards the horizon and see what might be coming our way. I got you, buddy. Oh, it's 25 after. So after listening to Roseanne and MTG, then I'm listening to some other stuff today. And hey, Scotty boy, did I say hi to you? I have been up 36 hours, almost 48, I think. I was up yesterday and did the show with Robert, and then did a live stream, and was up until 4:30 our time, and then kind of sort of took a little bit of a nap, but not really. And I just kind of was in and out of a dream state, and tried to clean up some of my mail and stuff in here today, and did a couple of things. Talked to an old friend that of like 20 years ago. Haven't heard from her. We caught up, and that was good. But also to find out that somebody has hacked my name on Facebook. And she was like, I got this email from you. And I was like, I don't know what your email is. I'll give you mine. But she goes, no, I knew it wasn't you, that it was fake, but she goes, it was just strange how it came in. So somebody out there wants to be me, like, what? And I haven't used the Facebook account in quite a while. So I guess I'm going to have to go out there and say, hey, look, this is me, the current me, this is the current me saying, no, I'm not going to ask you for money or anything. And if you do, please please report them to the feds, But what I know myself, because I have made mistakes. Okay. Got caught with drugs, got caught doing this. I did stupid things back in the day and I had to own up to it, kind of thing. And it takes a lot of guts and a lot of courage to stand up in front of a judge or something, knowing that you're facing 20 years, okay? And to be able to, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, and come out of it kind of sort of smelling like a rose. I got my transfer papers back up here to Georgia, so I didn't have to stay in Tampa and in Florida. So that to me was like, whoo, that was a big winner right there after serving a year in time and facing 5 years probation. Which at the time I was like, man, this is going to be tough. But I found out that it was a whole lot easier to be on probation. But you had to go and stand in front of the man every month. And you had to, do the thing, and you had to check in, and you had to pay your money. You had to pay your dues into the system. And so you got to stand up to the court. You got to, and I found out as I was going through it that it took a lot of courage and chutzpah to get through it. And I learned a lot, during my whole session with being in jail and going through the court system and all that. And I know people go through it all the time, but a lot of people go back, and a lot of people never figure out a way to stay out of jail. And I was able to buy a piece of property. I almost lost the property when they caught me growing weed, but I got out of that too. Um, and there are people to this day that swear I turned folks in, because there's no way I could have just gotten away with the light sentence that I did. But they weren't there. They weren't here when I got busted. They didn't follow what was going on. They weren't in the courtroom. They didn't have the same information. All they had was hearsay. And that, oh look, Dave didn't go to jail for 20 years, who'd he turn in? Nobody. Okay. So, but with that said though, people's perceptions of things, right? So people's perceptions are being altered right now. MK Ultra for all of us is in high swing right now. In the general population, with what's going on with the news, and Trump is still wrong about everything 4 years later. And the January 6th stuff, it's like, wait a minute, there are people who have seen the video and the rest of the stuff, and they go, that wasn't justice. They put this guy in jail for 44 months. He got out, I think, on a little, on some good behavior, but no, he went to federal prison for the guy with the antlers, and he was a shaman. He's a shaman. And they arrested the shaman and put him in jail and made him the scapegoat, literally. So, but sometimes as a shaman, you have to take a hit. And they hit him, buddy. So, but I mean, there are so many facets of things, and people are waking up. They're seeing the truth, and they're going, we saw this, and did you know that there were a lot of FBI agents that were in the crowd as agitators? No, I didn't know that. Oh, yeah. There was even reported some CIA agents and, and folks that were there to agitate the crowd that day. Really? Well, yeah. They just let some of the Capitol Guards actually opened up the doors and let these people in. Oh, you mean they were, part, they were part of it? Oh, yeah. Well, and the whole thing was a psyop, and they suckered people in like a honeypot. And oh, really? So there are people now that it's all over, and many years later now, and coming up on an anniversary, folks are going, what them folks at the Department of Justice said is a lie. Because we too have had a chance, once those tapes were released, we too could see what actually happened. And there might have been little misbehavior, no doubt, but as far as an insurrection, and as far as the fact that, Donald Trump was never convicted of any type of insurrection, he was, hey, Witch Moon, how you doing? He was not convicted in any court of law for any type of insurrection or whatever. So all of this stuff is made up. And we are the cowardly lions. Yes, you heard me right. I said we. Because we don't know how to stand up to them. Them. Love and prayers to you, Witch Moon. So, it's the Kardashians. If you catch the K in some of the word, you can relate it to somebody else that's another type of folks that sound like Kardashians. So, but anyway, and then then there's folks over there in the desert sands, like Ahab the Arab, the king of the burning sands, riding on his camel named Clyde. Hey-oh, oh, Ahab the Arab, the king of the burning sands. I'm sorry. I'm in one of them moods. I have been up for 2 days and I don't know why. But every time I thought I was going to lay down, Duggar came off the couch and everything tumbled off with him. So I had to rebuild everything. Was outside and trying to do some stuff, and because I have been up for 2 days, I'm in a really spaced out kind of weirdness. And like the stuff out of the corner of my eyes is really little poltergeist are showing up. And I know it's because I've been up for 2 days. But I don't really feel tired, which is odd. Was out looking up at the moon, and there are no clouds tonight. It's really pretty out there. And I almost, opened the show with the full moon, but it's chilly out there, and I was tired. I didn't want to sit out there. Anthony Chamsley from Arizona. Who's that? Senator, statesperson, congressperson. But anyway, so one of the things, and folks are worried about a lot of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And we talked about, prepping and being prepared for certain things and whatever. But I don't think we are prepared for what some of these crummy bums are going to try to pull this coming election, because they got away with a lot of stuff the last couple. Okay. And there are a lot of us that are going, no, you ain't. But here's the thing. You and I and a bunch of us are going, no, you ain't. No, we ain't buying this. But at the same time, they're going to stand up there and going, but what's going to stop us from doing it again? We got away with it last time. We got a formula, and we're already looking for ways to not have Donald Trump is, take him off the ballot in states. Let's see where that gets us. And well, wait, the Supreme Court, they ought to get it in on this, because it's like, whoa, how can you censor someone when they haven't been formally convicted of the treasonous act of January 6th? So it's like, this is going to be an interesting, whether you like Donald Trump or not, okay, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or not, this don't matter. It is the state of law that is going to be this next few months, especially, very heavy. And it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out, because they're going to have certain things decided long before the election. So they don't want some kind of court decision or whatever to push it right up to, November or the end of October next year. No, they want whatever it is needs to be settled in, by August, at least by September. And, which means they're going to have to get their, fuzzy little fur balls in gear on both sides. So the folks who have already started with, we're not going to put you on the ballot. And so Florida and Texas are going, okay, we just won't put Biden on it because we think he's a war criminal. And he is. Biden's done a lot worse things than Trump ever did. And is still doing them. Ukraine, anyone, and the millions of people and the billions of dollars that's being spent per month that we give them. We give them 1 point something billion a month to support the efforts over there. And they want an increase. 1.3 billion, because it was like 13 something billion dollars was the total package, which ended up being about a billion, a little over $1 billion per month that we send to the Ukraine. Nuh-uh. No, $1 billion a month. We should keep that money. No. So how do we say no? Well, I know I've been saying no, and I write in and say, no, I don't agree with this. And they go, oh, we're going to send the money over to there. No, but there are enough of us who feel no, who have said no, but it doesn't go anywhere. Our voices are not being heard, obviously, because they're still getting away with it. Because in a lot of ways, they are the powerful ones. And because they're in charge, they can do whatever the fudge they want to. And even though we are the constituents, they're, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's like, I love my peoples and I love my country and I work for them. I don't work for my own self-interest. It just so happens that my self-interest, or as a patriot and as as an American, and she's got a lot of practical sense, that woman. Glad there are folks like her in our Congress. But to the point, we need more folk like her. We need other folk in state senates to stand up and go, no, we're not going to follow along with that. But guess what? That's what they did in 1860. The war between the states. The Northerners tried to control everything, and the Southerners said no. They all got together and had some lemonade down here in the South, and had Jemima cook them up some biscuits, and sat on the front porch and discussed matters, And it's like, no, now, son, what do you think about this stuff here? This thing about them damn Yankees trying to tell us what to do, you know. And, and everybody's sitting around, and it ain't got nothing to do with slavery, but it does. It had more to do with cotton because they can't grow cotton in the North. And, there's cotton down here in the South. And that's what made the South so valuable. So, how could they make uniforms and clothes and things without all this wonderful cotton that was being grown down here in the South? But guess what? Slavery. So people say, well, it was all about, it was all about the blacks and freeing slavery. Well, slavery, yes, but they didn't want to emancipate the black people because it's like even today, why did they want Mexicans to cross the border? So they can have cheap labor. All right. It's it, it's slavery in a different way. You knocked that off the damn, he done messed up my. Sometimes Duggar is a pain in the tuchus. But anyway, so it's going to be about this. The Northerners, guess what? They've been busting the Mexicans and folks from who have come across the border illegally up to the northern states, and they've had it. Good for them. Now they know what it's like, because down here in the South, the southern states have absorbed. There are a lot of Mexican folks, and I've talked about it over the years. Some of them really good folks, and if it weren't, I gotta say this for the immigration, they make it too difficult for now if they would to alter the rules some, because I had some friends of mine that had to go back to Mexico. What's that thing behind you? A ceiling? What? Wait till this goes away. Where above my? No, that's my head. It would be about there. That silver thing. That's a big dome for a log. When the lights go out in the city. Anyway, so so what should we be worried about? Well, they want all this influx of people also because in certain states they don't check to whether or not you have ID to vote. And in my state, you have to have an ID to vote. And I don't care who you are, you should have an ID if you're going to vote. That's the law. Oh, well, all these people and this old black woman who's never, well, then that's her fault. Or there's this old black man. Okay, then take him down with a social security check, proof that he's a citizen, and get him an ID. And then, when you get there to the voting place, they look at it, they scan the back of my driver's license, and it goes beep, so it recognizes who I am automatically, and they go, "Okay, Mister No, here you go. Here's your card to go vote." So it's like, how is that hard? You know, I mean, how is that hard? So the fact that people, well, you have an ID and this and that, well, no, the people who don't have IDs are illegal aliens. And I don't care if they're from the north or the south, that they don't have a drive, if they don't have and you can get in the state of Georgia, you can get just a regular ID with a birth certificate or something. I have to have my birth certificate to get my driver's license at my age. I still had to take my birth certificate in. So, and people say, well, we shouldn't have to have it. Yes, we should. Was it a pain in the butt and I couldn't find it? Yeah. But in the long run, I'm like, I do want them to know who I am. I want my driver's license to be me. If hacked my, um, they hacked my Facebook account for something stupid, but no, I want folks to know that I'm David Null in Meigs, Georgia. You know, there's not another one of me down here. There are other David Nulls, but not in Meigs, Georgia. Okie doke, you know. So anyway, with that said, we're going to see here in the near future, and we need to support those that we can, who need to stand up and say no or yes, depending. Like yes, you're not. We're saying no to this. What do you mean? Yes, you're. Yes, I think you're stupid. you know. Yes, I think you're an idiot. You know. No, there was not really an insurrection on January the 6th. It was a little bit of mischief and mayhem, but so any contradictions or anything this thing about Trump, who was not formally charged, other people should be let loose because it was not what they claimed it was. The people who claimed it was more than it actually was, they should serve the same amount of time as the people that the judge and jury and whoever that sent them folks to jail. They, each one of them, should serve the same amount of time in the same conditions as the gentleman that they sentenced. That would be justice. I feel sorry for the people who are scared to be themselves. That's very true. Because it's like down here in the swamp, I can be anything I want to be, you know. But when I go out yonder in the public, now I got to play by the rules. I got to play by the society's game, and which means I got to wear clothes, and I have, or at least I should present myself. I should be presentable when I go out into public. Sometimes I just don't give two hoots. Like, the hell with it. I'm going in my blue jeans or something. But then there are some people who just don't care and are sloppy all the time. And these great big. I'm sorry, and that I'm going to offend someone of the overweight persuasion. Okay. But I feel because I was overweight and because I knew that I was fat, that I can talk about being fat. And to hell with somebody who wants to get on my tuchus about talking about fat people. But because I was fat, my family is still fat. My brother's overweight. My sister, no, but there are some other folks in my family who could shave off 100 pounds and not really lose anything. They carry the weight of a small child on with them everywhere they go. That was what I did. I was 250 pounds. I'm 180 now. That's 70 pounds, right? 70 pounds. But and 50, 70 pounds. So I can talk about being fat. So there are these fat people that go into town, and I know they got to wear clothes and they got to buy stuff. I do not begrudge them that. But if you're as big as a tent, then wear a tent. Okay? I'm sorry, you are a large person. Don't make fun of my weight. I'm not making fun of your weight, but I have to look at your weight. You're in front of me everywhere I go through this damn store, and I have to look at your cellulite ass sticking at me, and you're wearing skin tight latex, which shows every bump and curve in your nappy ass that is at least 350 pounds. And you want me to accept your right to parade your big ass anywhere in town? Put on a damn moo and cover that shit up. Men are just as bad. But it was in Walmart last week or something, picking up some, medicine for myself. And there was this woman that you couldn't go around her because she was, even though she was in an aisle in Walmart that was big enough to go two ways, she put her cart right in the middle of the the big lane, one of the big lanes, right? And then her big fat ass, I said fat, and I said ass, took up the whole thing. I couldn't get around. And I'm like, and then I heard about the Southwestern Airlines, that this woman got thrown off her flight because a fat person needed two seats, requested two seats because she was too big. So it just so happened that this lady got bumped. Her seat was one of the two or however. So Southwestern said, well, sorry, you have to give up your seat because this fat person needs two chairs. And we offered it to him, and sorry, you got to get off the plane. What? Ticket was already paid for and everything. Now, this is going on right now. All right. I'm sorry, fat people. Ooh, look what I can do because I'm fat. Somebody needs to slap them. Somebody needs to tell them to take a bus or pay for two tickets themselves, you big fat ass. And I was 250 pounds, so I know about being fat, and so has my family and so forth. So, but this idea that people can gain as much weight as they want to and be celebrated for being grossly overweight. Not only is it unhealthy and, well, but the whole idea, oh, look how fat I am. I can wear spandex. Sure, but you shouldn't. You can wear the spandex at home, but cover that shit up. We have to look at you. You're out in public and you're as big as a small truck. Just your ass is as big as the back of my pickup truck. And and you're broadcasting all of your cellulite to all of us here in Walmart or whatever store it might be. And of course, they have the right of way no matter what. Now, my road rage would be in the aisles of Walmart. I was cruising down the aisle at a Walmart's last Sunday when this big behemoth of a woman pushed out from the dog food aisle. A bag of kitty litter was in her. Never mind. And she thought she owned the place. There is a big fat woman in Walmart on Sunday. She shows up at least once a week. There is a great big fat white woman in Walmart on Sunday. Oh, and she took from cheek to cheek. She was this white. She needed a ramjet to get her ass back out of the store and into the parking lot. They had 5 of them little electric things hooked together, and they had brought a pallet thing to lift her up because she had fallen and sat down on the floor and refused to go anywhere because Walmart didn't have her favorite chocolate drink. There was a big fat white woman in Walmart last Sunday. Who slipped and fell and almost hurt her knee. She was pissed at the local because they was out of chocolate. And then she almost wounded me because I was in her way. I was trying to get a chocolate bar. She almost cut my arm off. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, hobos and tramps, cross-eyed mosquitoes and bow-legged ants. Let's let the fat people dance, Well, I guess if it weren't for the fat people in Walmart, the aisles would be clear. And the other day, this guy was on. Now, God love him. I've known this guy in Moultrie. But instead of losing some weight in his old age, he's gained 100 pounds, and he was a big man before, and now he's 100 pounds more overweight. Nice white guy, known him for years, retired, blah blah blah, but he is riding on this tiny little cart, and he is literally falling off. You can't see the seat. Somehow his ass and his ass crack have absorbed the seat. I can't see how he would sit on that because it would make my innards and stuff around my butt crack to really be uncomfortable. So he's falling all over the sides of this thing. Now, the front of the buggy's got a basket on it for putting items in. He is wider than the basket, okay? He's hanging out a little bit on each side, holding on to these tiny little handlebars and wondering, he's like, man, these aisles sure are getting narrow. What? No, I looked at him and I go, some of them are, and I looked at him and he's just spillage everywhere of fat, right? Tumbling out on either side of this electric cart. And he's complaining that he can't get around like he used to could. Well, this is what I got to say. You're a nice white guy, a good Southern gentleman kind of, but you have got a fat ass, lose some weight, you dumbass. You're blaming it on the width of the aisles in Walmart. when you yourself are wider than the cart at Walmart, which you are now currently riding on. You're kidding. You're kidding, right? Nope. Nope. So, anyway, oh, what a strange place we live in now. It was not like this back in the 60s. It was a little stranger and had tension, but Lord have mercy. This carelessness. I mean, when Jack Kennedy was president, okay, there were there were exercise programs in all of the schools because it was all about being healthy. So there were playgrounds and there were gymnasiums and there were basketball programs and there was PE and there was after school programs that were, with certain exercises to ensure that all children, male, female, whatever, exercised and got the proper nutrition, right? And then Kennedy was murdered. But, that's what was going on back in those days. So what do we do now? We encourage kids to go home and put on VR glasses or to get on a computer or something, right? They're not exercising. God forbid they're eating some kind of trash out of something. They're not eating, most of the time, folks aren't eating natural. And even things that are natural, oh, look, I've got fresh broccoli. Okay. Yeah, and it came in the mail. Okay. Where'd it come from? Well, it came in the mail. Okay, it came from this store person thingy who, and they cut it and then they put it and freeze it immediately. And they have, because whatever it is that's picked, tomatoes are picked green. And then they're allowed to change colors as they go to market. They're not plump and orange when they're picked because they'd be rotten by the time they got to the stores. So this thing that you seem to be getting fresh has been timed out in some way. Even the non-GMOs are treated this way. They go, I used to work on a farm. We cut greens. I was talking with a friend of mine about it the other day. And I said, they cut huge, they'd have 25, 30 acres of mustard greens. And once every week or so, they'd go in and cut it, mow it. And I was on the truck, as the mower was going by, there was a truck that was following it and all these mustard greens that go into the back of this semi. And I'd rake them out and make sure that they were spread out. And that was my job. And so it's like, and so we'd fill up a whole tractor, a semi tractor trailer full of mustard greens in no time flat, in an hour and a half. And so and they would immediately put a cover on it and go straight to the cannery. I mean, straight to the cannery. They'd call them up on the phone and say, okay, we're loaded. Yeah, we'll be there in 3 hours. All right, we'll meet you there. Okay, bye. And and off they'd go. So, but there are many places around here that are now doing blueberries and things, and they've got their own cold storage. So as soon as they pick something, it goes right into a cooler. So it keeps things from decaying and getting spots. So if you've gotten something that's all pretty and green or whatever, somebody's done something to it to keep it that green. All right. And you may not know what it is, but they use different types of hormones and things and stuff. They irradiate things, and nobody talks about the fact that they still irradiate vegetables. So, the best fresh vegetables you can get is from somebody on the side of the road that's selling fresh vegetables. Even at the farmer's market, I found out. I was like, "Where'd y'all get these tomatoes?" And they was like, "Oh, we get them from." And I was like, "Is they're a little out of season? Is somebody?" Now there are people around here that do have greenhouses, and I mean great big greenhouse setups. Okay, um, big production things. And I'm asking, are these tomatoes maybe from one of these greenhouses? Oh, no, no, no. Okay, so where did tomatoes come from? He's like, "Oh, you like our tomatoes?" And I'm like, "But you can't tell me you got a whole table full of these tomatoes. You can't tell me where they come from." Well, we got them a couple of months ago. What? He goes, "Yeah, we got a good deal at the end of the season, and we bought a bunch of tomatoes from one of the other growers who couldn't sell them, and they had an overage of tomatoes. So we bought them and put them in our freezer. And if we keep them at 35 degrees, just above freezing, because the tomatoes were still mostly green, and, so you've had them in your cold storage for the last 4 months. You've had them on ice for 4 months, and you just brought them out and filled your table and said, put a sign on it, fresh tomatoes. They were fresh 5 months ago because the people who picked them had them on cold storage for at least a month to 6 weeks. And then he bought the lot and moved them to his freezer cooler. What? And this is at the farmer's market in Moultrie, you know. And everybody go, "Ooh, gonna get me some fresh vegetables from the farmer's market in Moultrie." And I'm going, "Not them tomatoes. Oh, and you see them cucumbers over there? They're out of season too." And the guy's going, "Wait, shh, quiet." And I was like, "You should not tell these people that they're fresh vegetables. They are fresh out of your freezer, but they are not freshly picked." And well, you're misleading people. People like me, I'm going in there, I want some fresh vegetables and not something that's been in the freezer for 6 months, and then rolled out, put out on the table and sprayed with some stuff. And ooh, look how nice. Well, they look good for being in the freezer for they have literally been in a um, suspended animation, and and then folks are trying to sell them as fresh. So, but anyway, folks are starting to pick up on this stuff, is what I'm getting at. Things that were, oh, these are fresh vegetables. Not really. Well, this is like this. Well, not really. Like January 6th wasn't really an insurrection, was it? Well, no. Well, then all you people that said that it was, all these news outlets and all these people that saw some of the stuff, them people should be prosecuted too, because they called all of us liars and cheaters and sneaks and conspiracy theorists. You know, the big time newscasters and those folks who pushed that narrative also pushed things like the COVID, you know, and also pushed things like that and this and that and this, and everything's Trump's fault. And the Russians did everything bad. But the numbers are down on NBC, CBS, and ABC kind of news. The numbers are down. People are not paying attention. And they can hear certain things and their spidey senses are going off. Now, Cliff High and some other folks, and I would agree with this, especially today and tonight, that there are some high energies being cranked out from the sun and the earth and the solar system and all that kind of stuff. Seven minutes. Okay. I got enough in here. I'm going to start early. I quit drinking, smoking, eating meat at all in 2013. Yeah? Yeah, that's why they're getting fired. And some of them are quitting, you know? But see, Tucker Carlson is the beginning of the cowardly lions. And I say that with respect to him now, not as a cut. But he was one of them that stood up and said, you know, I'm going to have some courage. You got to have courage, you know. I could while away the hours, conferring with the flowers, consulting with the rain. Oh, wait, that's for If I Only Had a Brain. Oh, but anyway, but the cowardly lion. So here he is, he's like, he knows that it needs to do the right thing because there's supposed to be truth and honor. And people don't feel like they have any honor anymore. And it's true because, in the justice system, we look about us and people are literally getting away with murder, and other things and bribery and this, that, and yet, and it's wrong. But as much as we try to stand up and say, hey, wait a minute, we just get shot down by the system. And so I've had my bouts with the system. And there are some folks that, within the Old Boys Network or the Good Old Boys Network or the Good Old Girls Network, it works a lot of different ways. But within these little hidden church groups and little nanny meetings and whatever, a lot of decisions are made in local communities. And folks say, no, they aren't. Yes, they are. No. They're supposed to do that at the local council meeting. You have 5 of the 7 council members go to a prayer meeting every Wednesday at the same church. Oh, really? Yeah. So, so the 2 that don't go to that church for prayer meeting, they are not privy to what was discussed on Wednesday night. But when they come to the council meeting, how do I know this? Because it's happened. So when it comes time to the council meeting, they've already hashed it out, talked it out, and they go, here's the minutes, and this is what we've decided. And since you 2 are the only 2 abstaining, nay votes, we overrule you anyway because there's 5 of us and only 2 of you on a 7-member board. So you look around and go, but I didn't even get a chance to state an opinion. Nothing. No, because it's already, 5-2. And they had their meeting on Wednesday, sitting around having coffee and donuts at the prayer meeting at the local church. Wait a minute. Thought this was open forum and there are other people from the community that came to listen. And they can go, well, they can talk all they want to, but this is what we decided. What? You mean the townspeople? No, because none of those 5 people are going to change their mind. We've only got you 2 people, me and the other person, and you're just outvoted already because there ain't but 2 of you. So shut up and sit down. And you might say, well, that's not fair, but it is. And why do I say that? Well, they want to keep the meetings as short as possible. I agree with that because, sometimes these meetings can get, drug out forever. I have videotaped local events over the many years I've lived here. I've been to the Pelham City Council meeting. I've been different city council meetings and also county council meetings, and watched what goes on. And that's the way it works. It really does. If there's 5 of them sitting around having breakfast one morning before it comes time for the big meeting, sitting around, they're, chomping on some biscuits and having some bacon and eggs and, sipping their coffee, and they go, Junior, what do you think about this new notion about blah, blah, blah? And Junior says, well, me and Tom was just talking about it here. And we kind of think that, it's got it's got a little bit of a chance, but, we don't want to, get run overboard. Yeah, and somebody on the table behind him goes, yeah, me and Jeb was just talking about that too. And so maybe, maybe we ought to give this contractor group a chance. They've been pretty good in the past, and we just need to keep an eye on them. We can withhold a check if they don't do the work right. And we've got the law on our side because we're the city council. And so, and then, this is on a Thursday, and the city council meeting's on Monday, right? The following Monday. So come Monday, these guys have already hashed it out, literally over breakfast at the local diner. And because they have breakfast there for years, they've had breakfast there at this diner because they all work downtown. And but when it comes time for the council meeting, there are 2 or 3 council members who were not privy to the breakfast. But because there are 7 of them, 8, 9, 10, 6 of them, and 3 of these other, which makes up a 9-member group, they're already outvoted. They didn't know what was going on. This happens all the time, okay? And people say it ain't just. There's no justice in that because you didn't get your time in a meeting. And I agree with that. But was there anything that was dishonest about what they did? And the answer is no. Is it time? Yep, it's time. It's the 20. So, so I ain't saying that's what's going on in Washington, but it is absolutely, whether I was in Tampa or Valdosta or Thomasville or Moultrie or whatever venue, police station, whatever, go to court stuff, it all works basically the same. It really does. It doesn't matter what town you're in. There's a group in the town that does this sort of thing. They meet at a local restaurant. It's not any kind of clandestine thing. They've just been having, they get together with the Lions Club, and there's 5 out of 7 of them off the board that belong to the Lions Club, for example. So they've had luncheon, and they all sitting around a table and have a little discussion. And then, when it comes time for the council meeting, they've already made up their mind and they've already discussed it. And, things are already on the way. So then folks get pissed off about that kind of stuff. Well, where did you have the meeting? When did you discuss this? And it was behind closed doors. And, there's supposed to be sunshine laws, which means you need to operate in the open. Well, we had lunch the other day and we all talked about it, and we've come up with that we don't like the plan, so we're saying no to this one, but we're going to hire this other guy to come in and do some work. What? But because there's 5 against 2, they win again. or 7 against 2, 3, or whatever the number, but usually there's at least 7 council members, usually 9. So, but in the grand scheme of stuff, you know, the populace wants to stand up against the councilman, which they have every right to do. And when it came time, that we voted a couple of them folks out. But it didn't really help, because the folks that got voted in were actually worse. You know, holy crap. They really did stuff behind doors. So one of the things that you have to be careful of, especially like in local governments and things, and even with corporations and stuff, you know, stuff got discussed around the water cooler. You know, I'm standing there talking with one engineer, and we're getting some coffee by the coffee machine. And I go, you know, I got these new drawings in for that tool, and the prototype ought to be ready by this afternoon. I'm going to go over and pick it up. Now, my boss, the big engineer, comes by and goes, did you say that tool was ready? Yes, sir, boss man, this afternoon. All right, well, we're having a meeting this afternoon at 2:00. You know, drop in and we'll include you in with the meeting. So blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And he goes his way. You know, me and Bill, we go our way, and we're having coffee. And then when we get to the meeting, somebody says, well, when did you make all these decisions? Who told you? Well, when did the drawing get done? And when did the thing? And you already had a part being done. And I said, you know, I was like, well, I didn't think that we had to have a meeting when we had already said that we needed an you know, an experimental tooling. That's what we called it. You know, and if we changed an angle or whatever on something, you know, and so we all agreed that, you know, and so I was working really close with this, and me and Bill Hofer, we, you know, came up with what we thought was the best angle, and everybody else agreed beforehand, and so we had a tool made, and I went and picked it up a couple hours ago, and it's in the machine and it's running. Well, how come you didn't let any of us know? Well, we're having the meeting now. Yeah, but you already got it running, and it's already, and shouldn't you have told us? We're engineers too. And it was a fine line trying to not get somebody pissed off when when I personally was just trying to do my job. So politically speaking, that goes on as well. So there's competition, and there's stupid competition. Was talking about a guy that used to be a friend of mine a long time ago, and we were mutual friends with this lady that called me up this afternoon, and she goes, "Oh, have you heard from Marty lately?" And I was like, "Wow," you know. And I said, "No," and then I said, "You know what he did um, behind my back with the theater group and stuff and puppets and even a song I wrote?" That he claimed it for his own, and has gone around and told folks that he wrote this song. And it's Hey Diddle Diddle, right? She goes, no way. And I said, yeah. She goes, he's been going around saying that he wrote that song. Well, that's your song. You wrote it for your son. And I was like, yeah, he doesn't have a son. And the name of the song is Samsung. So he didn't change the name, but he put the title that, you know, so no. So, but he did so many things behind my back, and there was just no reason, right? And, but at the same time, so there's been some nasty words and literally folks doing curses behind my back to literally do me harm. And like, I've never done anything like that to someone, nor had I ever thought about doing something like that. I wanted to slap a few people and try to, you know, like, toot, toot, you know, what is wrong with you? But as far as really harm them or hurt them or kill them or anything like that, or start something behind their back on purpose, purposefully tell a lie. And because I had people come up and go, well, Marty said that blah, blah, blah. And I said, I'm sorry, that's just not true, because this is what happened and here's my proof. Oh, well, damn. Well, he told me that such and such. Sorry, but he's mistaken. And they'd go, oh, wow, I didn't know that, you know. So people were coming to me about this guy and what he had said after the fact, like a year or two or three later. And they put me in charge of the theater building. And folks are saying, well, Marty, they said that Marty said this about you and that you did such and such. And I said, sorry, but Marty wasn't here during that time. And blah, 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 blah. And I said, I was here with, you know, George, what you call it? We're the ones that did this here in the building. Well, blah, 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 blah. No, that was me and Jimmy Rogers. He and I set the lights and I ran the wire for him. Well, blah, 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 blah. No, that wasn't Marty. That was me and somebody else. And they were like, what? So he was taking credit for all these changes that had been done within the theater building when he was a part of it, but he did not make the changes, nor was it his baby. So, but anyway, so there have been people in my lifetime that have literally gone behind me and just made up shit like they've done with Donald Trump. And so I know how the guy feels, you know, in a much lower rate. But you know, I still had to go in front of the board of the directors for the theater group. I still had to defend my title, as it were. And they were like, well, you know, Dory said this about you, and nip, 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 nip. And I was like, sorry, but she's mistaken, because this person saw me and he and I were actually working together. Oh, really? Oh, so she's actually trying to sabotage you. Yep. Oh, so they put her in her own little place because they couldn't trust her anymore, because she was trying to sabotage the show that I was trying to produce legally and everything. The board had agreed for me to do it and so forth. And she was just calling people and telling people not to work with me and literally sabotaging things within the theater. And then I changed all the locks because I was the director of the building. So, but anyway, these folks were really trying to do me harm, and did, because they stirred up shit that just was not true. And I still to this day, I don't know why. I think I just intimidated them because I got along with everybody else. And when everybody else found out that they were the ones who were telling the lies and stirring up the stuff, they trusted me even more. And so it's like that backfired. You know, instead of getting rid of me, they were like, wait a minute, he's not the one that's lying. You are. Oh, and I thought I could trust you. And you mean you've been lying about him this whole time? Well, okay, Marty. You know, so next time they ask somebody to do something, Marty wasn't on the list. When somebody was going to do something, Marty wasn't on the list. When blah, 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 Marty wasn't on the list. So he, you know, put his own foot in his mouth, kind of thing. But anyway, what's that got to do with the real world? Well, because that's what's going on now on so many different levels in the government, okay? And within the Congress, and also within engineering groups and with architects, and it's going on everywhere, that where there are people who have to make decisions, okay? Whether it's a board of directors, you know, a group of painters trying to paint a building, whatever it is, there's going to be a manager, and then there's going to be the underlings. And if everybody doesn't get along at least peaceably, there's going to be one painter who's going, Well, I'm faster than the rest of you guys. Yeah, but he's sloppier. He's faster, but he's sloppier. And he won't admit that he's sloppier, but he's faster. But, I've got 5 painters, and 3 of them are like really good, solid, medium painters. They can cut in, they're not real fast, but they're good, and I can trust them. They don't have to go back over their work. And this other guy, he's almost twice as fast as these 3 guys, but he splatters everywhere, and we have to go back in and clean up after him. And this fifth guy, he's just really slow. But we can put him, with scraping windows and stuff. But he comes to work every day. He's on time, and he's a steady worker. So even though he's slower of the group, he still fits in, and he cleans up behind the fast guy with all the splatter. Now you say, see, now there's 5 guys in painting. They're all painters. They're all equal in that they are painters, but they each have different levels of painting skills as noticed by the manager, right? And they probably know it between them that he cuts, in around windows better. Now, what's this got to do with a price of tea in China? It's how well we work together or don't, So, well, wait a minute. So you've got these people. Well, you're talking about painting, Hawkeye. Yes. But the decision who's going to cut around the windows, who's going to cut around the doors, who's going to do the big brush strokes, or who's going to do the roller work, and etc. So that makes up the team. Well, that's what supposedly makes up the team in Congress. You've got committee members, and they decide on stuff, and then they take it to the general population, right? And okay, we've had this committee, and this is what we've seen. We've talked with people, and we think this should go to the oversight committee for further study. And these are our recommendations. How many yays? Yay. How many nays? Yays have it, but it's passed on to the next thing. So, but if something ain't right about something from the get-go, well, they came out of a subcommittee with this. Yeah, but there was 3 out of 5 people. There's only, that's a short number, but 3 out of 5 people didn't like this idea of UFOs, and they don't accept it. And so they don't really see why we should have any more subcommittee meetings. What? Well, John over there, he's sort of on the border, but he decided that nah. But wait a minute, all these the people of the United States, they want us to find out about the flying saucers and stuff. Yeah, but I don't really. I think it'd be a waste of time, and people don't really give 2 craps about it. And you're the only 2 guys in the room that really care. So nah, we're not gonna pass it along to any other committees. It just dies right here. There's stuff like that all the time, right? And for stuff like UFOs or special closed door sessions where they have to talk about top secret things like laser cannons and stuff, whether or not we should, appropriate money for these things or whatever. And so there are folks that are like, what's going on? Well, we can't tell you everything, but yeah, we think it's important, and yeah, we voted yes on it, and yeah, it's only going to cost us about $600 million over the course of 2 years. It's a bargain. What? That's how they talk. That's how they think. And then somebody starts putting things in motion. None of us got a clue what's going on. But what just happened is a high-tech piece of machinery just got brought in under the wire from somewhere. And now there's a contractor, subcontractor like Raytheon, who's done this work before. And we already have sort of an agreement. So because of this open agreement with the contractor, we don't have to make anything special. We're just going to go ahead and give this project to them. We'll get the money to back us up. We'll worry about all the drawings and everything later, but they're going to get the job and they're going to get it done for us. And that's that. Well, wait a minute. Whoa. Where was the committee meeting? Where is it that we should all get together and discuss who's going to get the contract and so forth? Oh, well, that takes up too much time. And this Raytheon company's been giving us a good deal all these years, and we'll send out bids and stuff. Hey, Hastrel, how you doing? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see the chat fades really quick. I personally believe these ETs are non-corporeal. Some of them are. But most of the ETs are solid mass, okay? Because otherwise they wouldn't be able to drive their spaceships. You got to be able to hold on to the steering wheel, okay? Just saying. But there are some beings that they're mostly spirit energy. They're mostly energy, I guess. Spirit energy, they're just energy, but there are some that are just that. But they have to hitch a ride with other beings. Are you from Hawaii? Hawaii. But anyway, the things that most of us, we would think in practical terms. Now, I want to bring up something and as to why certain things happen and we scratch our head and go, how come that person changed their mind so quick? For example, the new Speaker of the House, right? Was going to vote a particular way on something, then all of a sudden he just kind of clammed up and went, And everybody's like, wait a minute. He turned into a cowardly lion, okay? Right in front of everybody. And folks are going and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Roseanne brought it up in her podcast today. And I was like, yeah, I remember that. I wonder what changed just then I got to thinking, they're talking about the military industrial complex. Black Rock folks, the clandestine folks, they sneak up and kill you with a heart attack pill. And so here's the new Speaker of the House who wants to vote a particular way. He goes into a meeting with some subcontractors. And 2 hours later, he comes out of the meeting and changes his mind. And everybody's going, oh, what the hell would he change his mind about? They are the military industrial complex. They will shoot your airplane down. You will wake up dead one morning. You're going to sign this bill. What? Go ahead and stand up on them two cowardly lion legs and see how far you get, because we are the ones with the weapons. Do you remember John F. Kennedy? Yeah. Do you remember Ronald Reagan? Yeah. Do you remember? We killed one president, almost got the other one. And you're not even the president. You know, you're just the Speaker of the House. Why do you think Nancy Pelosi did some of the stupid shit that she did? Because there are people behind her going, Nancy, this is what we want. And Nancy's like, well, Nancy, you know the rules, don't you? Yeah. Remember those sweet deals we helped you with? Yeah. You and your husband want to go on a vacation, right? Yeah. You don't want to die yet, do you, Nancy? No. Then do it. And the next thing you know, they have passed some stupid shit, you know, and nobody knows why. The answer's right in front of everybody. Because the folks who are running the operation are going, nah, go ahead, stand up on them wobbly legs of yours. Go ahead. You know, go ahead, stand up like a, you know, you be shaking there, sitting there going, God almighty, if I don't do this, they're going to fucking kill me. And there's been too many people that woke up dead when they didn't go along with certain things. So it's not like we have to make this sort of stuff up. If anything, we have to try to calm it down, right? Because, well, this person, their plane went down, and this person killed in an accident. This plane, you know, not Robert E. Byrd, Forstall, you know, fell out of a third-story window. You hear about the guy over in Russia standing on the balcony, has a heart attack and falls 35 feet to his death. You know, ooh, they should put up better railings around the balconies on these. You know what? This was just the other day. Oh yeah, what about Ruby Ridge? Yeah, Ruby Ridge. They made that shit up too. Yeah, and went after some people because they were just gung ho. It was sort of like the GBI when they were gung ho here, when they busted me for them couple of marijuana plants with a helicopter. So they had high powered weapons and were ready to shoot me over an ounce of weed. You know, so that was the gung ho GBI, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, right? The local county mounties, they were like, hey, calm down. You know, literally, they were like, hey, calm down. So, which I applaud them, boy, do I, still to this day. What about Woodrow? Huh? I don't know who that is. But I mean, look what they did at Waco, you know, with the David Koresh group, you know. They made up all kinds of shit and then literally blew them up, murderized them with machine guns, and then blew up the place, and it caught on fire and killed them all. All them children's, you know, you say, well, wait a minute, no, it was justified. You bake the children alive. Well, you know, blah, blah, blah. You cooked those children alive. But yeah, well, you know, the FBI, we had to move in. You cooked those children alive. But you cooked those children alive. And you're responsible. The FBI and them folks that were out there, well, they've got to come out, and we've set a time. They could have left them in there forever. Waco, isn't that what I said? Yeah, let's not take her fried chicken. Yeah, but I mean, so they will justify shit like the baking, not counting the adults, but the children who had no say so in the matter because they didn't try to let them out or anything. Fried chicken, not children. Right. That's sort of what, it's like, come on, Henry, let's go down to the local Waco thing. They're going to fry some David Koresh and some children. You like yours crispy? Because that's how they going to come out. So Crispy Critters going to turn these children into crispy critters. And they did. So, but, so in Washington, D.C., they're doing stuff to folks all the time. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation, depending on what's going on and what kinds of crimes are being committed, there are stupid folk doing stupid crimes all the time. All right. But it doesn't mean that everybody is a crook. Okay. Are there people down here in the South that will steal a piece of machinery or something if they could get their hands on it? Yeah. But then sometimes they'll think twice about it and go, yeah, but we need something like, we ain't got nobody to buy it. So we're going to do it. I don't know. Well, maybe we better not steal it. And then there's Billy Joe Bob and his brother who just get drunk one night and they got a great big flatbed trailer that they borrowed from their uncle and they go buy and borrow a backhoe, and take it down in the swamp somewhere. So, did they really intend to steal it, or did they kind of have sort of a spur of the moment? But the bottom line is they stole it. And because of this, that, they find out, that these two drunk, brother cousin thingies, and find them, jail them. A lot of times just leave them out with probation on something like that because they recovered the equipment. But to the point though, so there's stuff like that that goes on all the time. All across the United States. Now, the more people there are, the more prevalent it is to happen, simply because there's more people. It doesn't mean that there's more people means more crime, but it sort of does. But so in some areas of the South, there's hardly any crime. Why? Because the neighbors say, better not steal from me. Nuh-uh, they better not steal from me. Because if I catch them, I'm going to set my dogs on them. And so here's the thing. Nobody steals from these people in the neighborhood. Why? Because they've all got Rottweilers. They've all got dogs that will literally eat you alive. So ain't nobody going to go up and try to sneak up on this house or go into this barn. Why? Because they got Rottweilers, and they got motion sensors too. So it ain't like they can just sneak up. So crime, but in towns and cities and things, situations are different, motivations are different. Same thing with the justice system. But the justice system has put us over a barrel, several barrels, actually. And I don't know how to do it, but I recognize it. And what I recognize is that these are cowardly lions. Now, one thing you could say, well, cowardly lions, why are you using that metaphor? Well, because here's the thing. You got to be of the lion variety in order to run for Congress and do that sort of thing. You got to be a lion or a lioness. You got to, want to, go on and do that and work for the pride sort of thing, right? If you're really proud of your job and what you're supposed to be doing it, blah blah blah. But so you take pride in your pride. You are proud of your pride. Okay. So and Mama or Papa mountain lion is going to keep a watch out for the cubs and the community, right? I'm getting tired all of a sudden. I've been up for 2 days. So you can be proud all you want to, but the thing is so these folks were lions. They ran for office. They got elected. They work in Congress and they do the best they can. But they become cowardly because somebody has had a meeting with them and said, uh, we can make sure that you won't make it home tonight without an accident. What? Oh yeah, your car is that little Fiat downstairs? Yeah. Well, there's a guy under it right now who's cutting your brake line. What? Well, you can't do that sort of thing. Well, he's finished. Yes, we can. Yes, we did. And are you going to sign this bill? Yes or no? Well, I can't believe that you would do this to me. Um, we can blow up the car. We've got some C4 in the back of the van down here in the parking lot. Are you going to sign this bill or not? Where's my pen? So I think that some of these folks, I don't think coerced into doing some of these nutty things that they've done, pass certain bills or laws or whatever, or amendments or whatever. I think somebody has got to them. And I think because the shadow folks are so good at this, nobody wants to end up dead. They just don't. That's the bottom line. Well, why don't you stand up to these people? Because they said I could be dead and I don't want to be. Well, if we stood up to them, well, then you'd be dead too. They said they would, that they're not going to tolerate this sort of thing. Well, who can we turn them in? We need to turn them in. Well, but who are the guys? I don't know. Did you recognize them? No, I think I've seen the one guy before, but he was the one with the pistol, you know. And so we can get in touch with the thing and the this and the that and the blah blah blah, and they go, yeah, well, nothing ever happens, right? Because those folks, that's interesting. Did you see that get brighter right there? Or is it just me? Didn't you notice the Exodus in 2010? What is that back there? Oh, it's my shoulder I moved. Okay, never mind. I'm tired and I need to lay down and go to bed. I need to go to sleep. But so in this grand scheme of things, so they have already put out chaos. They've already spread the seeds for misinformation. The big news outlets are already talking certain things like Trump not being on the ballot, for example. That is just going to be one great big giant bowl of crap. It's going to be funny as hell to watch what happens. But we need to stay out of the chaos. We need to go, oh, look, I have a reality show. Trump and his folks are great at that. Okay. But at the same time, there are those of us in positions like certain judges and prosecutors and stuff that they've had enough. And I think now's the time, if they see an opportunity to not be a cowardly lion, to actually stand up and go, hang on, this ain't right. That's not really the law. You're bending the rules here to fit your narrative. And no, we've watched you do it here over these last couple of years. And no, you're not getting away with it anymore. We're in a paradigm shift right now. We really are. So, fingers crossed, no left, no right. That's true. And they don't even know which is the middle of the road anymore. So it used to be, even behind closed doors, they would come out and they're supposed to tell you what they discussed. Okay. Because I had to wait until after a closed door session, and then I would set up my camera and interview one of the council members and go, okay, what did you discuss? And blah, 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 blah. And it was usually never worth waiting around for. Never. But had to report the news. So now this is just what goes on in little towns. But what goes on in little towns goes on in bigger towns and bigger, and more people and problems and issues and stuff. So hopefully, there are people who need to stand up as whistleblowers, and they are. All right, the UAPs and the the UFO thing and the USO things and just other stuff. Folks are starting to talk about orbs now in public during the daytime and not on Jimmy Church Radio, you know, or but folks are talking about orbs and folks are talking about this or that. But at the same time, I tried to listen to a news program the other day, and it was about 5 minutes that I suffered through it. And I couldn't believe that I'm sorry it was a black man, a clean cut black man, reporter type, and he worked for some agency or something. And the things that was coming out of his mouth about the Republicans and about how, the Republicans have driven the United States into this mess that we're in now. And I'm going, oh no. No, 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 no. I'm a long-term Democrat. And you want me to be on your side? When I see what actually happened with mine own two eyes, I didn't need a news group to tell me that what you just said is false, because I saw with my own eyes, this, and you're saying that. Sorry, why should I be on your side when you're obviously lying to me? Well, we don't want Trump back in the White House. Why? Well, because he did this and this and this. No, he didn't. You made that shit up. What he did do was this, this, and this. Don't lie. I'm sorry. Well, I thought you was a Democrat. I was. until people like you came around and started telling me lies, and you want me to support you and your lies. I'm sorry. I have been searching for the truth of things since I was in high school in 1966. So this idea, I couldn't wait to vote. I couldn't wait to be old enough to go vote because of to do my civic duty, right? I mean, seriously, in a Tampa Catholic, that back then anyway, the nuns and everything, they took that shit serious. You know, 1968, Bobby Kennedy was running, and um, LBJ had decided not to, and the war was doing its thing, and then there was Tricky Dicky, and it was some very interesting time. And then RFK gets murdered in the kitchen, and Bobby Kennedy Jr. to this day knows who killed his father because of the bullet wounds in the back of his father's head. And they know who was standing there because of the pictures that were taken and the video that was taken. And you think that this guy's in another country. He's still living, and Bobby Kennedy's daddy's dead, you know. RFK Jr.'s daddy's dead anyway. So, what about him? Did you know that the Biden administration, who normally it's just all of these candidates get Secret Service protection, they have denied RFK any Secret Service protection, not just some or none. Not, could you like spare a guy? Nope. No, he don't get any Secret Service protection. For some reason, the Biden administration said he didn't qualify. Now, is that fair? No. Is that the way the game is played? Yeah. But you see, the more that the Biden group and Obama and Clinton, they're all tied together, even with Bush in there, that as long as they can get away with it, they're going to. But the more people, and this is the year of people being fed up. That's what I see coming down the road. Oh my God, Dave, can you see they're trying to get us to believe that? Ain't buying it. Me neither. You gonna buy it? No. You gonna buy it? No. So they are, this last 2 years after the COVID and everything, they have been losing their grip on the population. Yes, had enough, period, But, and having had enough is on so many different levels, both. Some of these folks are like, oh, all ET are grays. No, they're not. Look at how many races of people on the planet Earth, and then look up at the sky. Come on. What, there's only a couple of choices? Now you're really being stupid and ignorant. You dumbass. I know there's a lot of stars up there, and you think that there are only one or two races? Seriously? Now I guess we're making progress because, last week you didn't believe there were no aliens at all. So the fact that you might think that there's 5 or 6 of them up there, okay, we're making progress, right? Got to start somewhere, right? All ETs are going to eat us. No. All ETs are malevolent, nasty beings. No. But there are some ET beings that are evil, wicked, mean, bad, nasty, on a whole new level of evil, wicked, mean, and bad and nasty. So, but are there good aliens? Yes. Are they benevolent? Yes. Would they want to help us? Yes, if we're not too stupid around them. They will work with us. Oh, and I heard something today on the Leak Project, and it slapped me upside the head because I'd been outside. It's getting dark really early now, but the days are starting to get longer already. And I'm looking up at the sky, and I'm like, "Where's Pleiades at?" Oh, there it is, and there's Orion, and there's the moon way over there. It's coming up, and I'm just like, haven't thought of Pleiades in a long time. Wonder how that group's getting along. So I come back in here and I'm doing some stuff, and I'm listening to the Leak Project, and they're talking about a couple of things, and Hopi prophecies. So here's this Hopi Indian who has just come from talking with the elders a week or so ago. And he's got this little drawing of these little circles and things, and he goes, and this over here is the seven sisters. And something is supposed to come from the seven sisters, which is the Pleiades cluster, and supposed to come in and do this thing and affect our solar system. That's a part of what the ancients have discussed over the years. And that whatever it is, a big rock or something, is going to come from that. Something's going to come from that way. Well, it's been sort of said that the Pleiadians were going to come back to help us through this time. I've tried not to discuss it, but it was sort of that some of my ancestors, I don't know for sure, but it has been said to me over the years, I've talked about this before, that I've got some Palladian descendants in me somewhere. Okay. That's as far as I know. It would be interesting. If you've ever seen Pleiades through a telescope or anything, binoculars even, it's not just the seven sisters that looks like this little cup. There are a bunch of stars and stuff in that cluster. It is crowded. Well, you can take some other part of space, and it's not near as congested as the Pleiades cluster is. So there are seven sisters, and there are seven major stars. But the minor stars, that it looks like a cloud in the background and so forth when you look at it up close, it's full of places. So, and they're supposedly the Pleiadians, they don't all come from one planet, for example, that they come from different, with all this cluster of stuff right there. There's, folks that are living on different planets, and some of them are good guys and some of them are bad guys, and some of them are really bad guys, and some of them are really, 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 really good guys. So, but with that said, just because it's something might be coming out of the Seven Sisters Pleiades cluster does not necessarily mean that they're all goody two shoes. Ooh, all these Pleiadians and all this stuff. Back off a little bit. Some of them guys that are all shiny and nice and smile sweetly, they're the guys that are going to try to sell you some, swampland, on top of a mountain somewhere. But anyway, but I found that interesting that the Hopis brought this up like just recently. But it's been reported every 7 years going back to, I can't remember how many years. But anyway, so it's Leak Project just did the podcast this afternoon So I find that interesting, and the correlation to other stuff, that there's supposed to be a big planet that comes in and goes around the solar system and the sun and does a little dip and a whoop-de-doo and then gets slung out, and then it comes all the way back around, and well, there's your Planet X that folks talked about extensively a few years back. Well, apparently, from the Hopi legends, there's some large body from out yonder that is going to enter into our solar system that's going to just mess everything up. From the explanation, God, I hope not. Or maybe I should hope I'm dead before that happens. Because, Lord have mercy, what a mess if what they prophesy comes true. Hang on, Sloopy, because, the magnetic reversal is not going to it's not going to be a 180-degree flip. It's going to be like that, which is going to be bad enough. So, but okay. And that there really are UAPs out in space that are watching over us, and that maybe if things get too bad, they could help the human race out of a dire situation. Maybe. So it's going to be interesting whatever comes up. But they're throwing the chaos, like you're spreading chicken feed out in the pen for your critters. And here you go, and you're just spreading, the love, and you're spreading that chicken feed. But what they're spreading is toxic. I mean, listening to some of this stuff is just like, now am I supposed to believe this? I mean, I just sat and listened to this, but now you want me to repeat it back to you, and I'm sorry, I'm having trouble. What? So we don't know, and they're trying to throw us under the bus. We got 5 more minutes. So I'm gonna finish this bowl. It'll be it's 2 hours and 2 minutes now. So I would like for all y'all as observers in this great nation of the universe, and as members of the League of Like-Minded beings, plural, look at your current situation and find out if there's some way. I know there's, Dave can't go to Washington. I'm too old and too, my body's too crotchety. I just don't think that I could. Now, if somebody wanted to take me to Washington and make some kind of presentation, okay. But if somebody said, Dave, you go, I'm like, sorry, I don't think I could make that happen. Not at my age, not now at this time in my life. Doesn't mean I'm giving up. It doesn't mean you want to drive me. You want to take me. You want to be my chauffeur and help me when if I can't walk all these great distances. You're gonna I'll go. I'm game. So with that said, so how do we stand up against the tyranny without getting shot at? You know, how do we take care of business? So someone is going to be able to say, wait a minute, I've had enough, but I'm not a whistleblower. Okay. So, but as I was talking about day before yesterday, and I mentioned it last night again, is in our collective energies. I need to find that card. But, when one of us is lifted and we can lift each other up. And by doing so, we don't just lift ourselves, but we help to lift the entire consciousness of the human race. So to me, this is like yeah, this is right up my alley. Yeah, I want to do this. I want to send prayers out to the universe always in hopes that other people will rise up, and then, the whole human race will, like, dun, 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 they'll get it, whatever it is, right? And so without a church, without you just, folks will understand who and what the Great Spirit is. Um, and they're just gonna, like, whoa, it's so simple, Hawkeye. Yep. Welcome to the real world where there are no illusions. There's no religion that will throw up an illusion in front of you. Here's the set parameters, because here's what um, the universe has shown and talked to us about. And we're going to just see what happens. We're going to go from there. So, what has that got to do with the price of tea in China as it's coming up on a 20? I love you all. It has to do with being aware, right? Talked about that the last 2 days. This is 3 days in a row. How about that? Um, oh, um, but the idea that we should, instead of just going, there's nothing I can do. Well, but maybe there is this time around. And it might be that we help someone else to stand up. Or, we call their if they're on our side, then we can call the election thing and help them with ballots or something. There's something that maybe we can volunteer to do, right? To make sure that our side wins. I know that sounds weird, but without sabotage, all we want is a straight, out and out, good, clean fight. You start off over there in that corner, and you go off over there, and when you hear the bell, come out swinging. But we're going to have a clean fight. We've got referees, and nobody's got anything in their gloves or whatever. No, pull no punches. So try to volunteer for anything if you can that might help in that respect. If not, like me, we'll see. But I'll do something here with the channel. I'll talk with people. I'll have a discussion about it like we're doing right now, so that not necessarily about who's better politically or not, but how do we stop the bad guys from sabotaging a good election? Because if the majority of people want this other guy instead, okay, but I want it to be legit. That's all. But so if you're going to tell me that those are the votes, then I want to see them. I want, let's count them together. And if they go, well, you just take our word for it. No. Where's the box of votes so that we can count them right here in the open in front of everybody? Because that tried to happen last time, and there were folks that were like, "Nuh-uh, we already counted them, and there's so many in this box, and that's that." No, give me that box. No, we counted them already. Go away. We don't need that kind of attitude. Not for what's supposed to be an unpartisan viewpoint. And when it comes to the voting booth, until after the votes are counted, it's the null zone. Nothing exists but the truth. The only thing that matters is that during this time of delivery of the votes, or however it's done, um, the fact that there should be enough people keeping an eye on the process to where the process isn't sabotaged. And then, if they want to vote for this other guy that is not my favorite, okay, as long as it was fair. If there's enough other people out there to feel the same way he does. So the fight isn't between me and Marty and who to vote for, because Marty likes this guy and blah, blah, blah. Well, he's got all of his gay friends over here, and they all voted this guy in versus this other person who was running. Okay. Now, in 2 years, that guy was like voted out really quick. He didn't last long. But, ooh, let's hire a gay man. And they saw how that worked out. He just wasn't good for the job. It wasn't that he was gay. I've worked with gay people that worked for the city of Thomasville and the recreation department, this and that. Perfectly lovely people. Okay. And so, but, that they tried to do the right thing by hiring minorities, a black gay man. Ooh, we're hitting on all cylinders here. So talk about equity, right? So, but he just didn't know what he was doing, took advantage of his position at every opportunity. And I mean, to the point of like embezzlement almost, real close. He was borrowing tools and things and stuff. And because he was in a directorship of sorts, nobody questioned whether or not he was going to use a bunch of power tools or whatever that he never brought back, and that he took home and put in his garage. Eh. But anyway, listen, it's 24 after. Happy 20. I want to say thank you all for being my friend. And going down the road and back again. You're a pal and a confidant. So, but what's coming up here in these next few months? We really need to keep an eye on. I know there are people who are going, I'm just not going to vote. I'm just not going to vote. No, don't give in to that kind of stuff. If you truly believe in America and that, well, we've never been able to, they always get away with what they want, and that this might actually be the time they don't get away with it. Honestly, we might actually not necessarily beat them, but catch them in the act to where they can't deny it and they can't win because we caught them in the act. So, but we are all lion-hearted, but we need the courage to stand up against these folks, because some of these folks will kill us, okay? That has been their MO for a long time. It's bad, it's sad, but some folks are just, I'm sorry, some folks are just gonna, you want this bad, somebody's got to stand up. And I'm hoping, if I'll take the bullet for it if I can, if that will help you to stand up. I got some stuff that looks like Kevlar. It would slow a bullet down. I don't know if it'd stop it, but this idea though that we got to start somewhere, and this coming election is that somewhere. It is an absolutely wonderful place to start. And if we start slinging our propaganda, which is, hey, they're going to try to rig this election. They're going to try to do this again to you and me. Do you want that to happen? No. Okay, well, then here, sign this petition and show up at the rally, or whatever, right? But there are too many people who are like grit your teeth mad, who can carry a gun in the state of Georgia, open carry. So watch out, you know, just watch out. I don't want violence, but at the same time, we can't let them get away with this. And maybe it will take somewhere with all of us to pull out our weapons and go, nope, not here. Nope. Well, you're going to blah, blah. Nope. Nope, not here. So, but it's gonna be an interesting year. So in talking with friends, I and my buddies up yonder too, the answer to some of this is we can't lose our cool. That's gonna make it worse. We can't lose our cool. And if we don't try to ignore it, but we don't jump into the beehive. Well, there's a beehive hanging right over there off of that limb. Yep. Some big old ass hornets in it. Yep. What are you going to do about it? I'm going to stay over here. I'm going to avoid them. What? Yeah. Well, aren't you going to knock them down or anything? No. Why not? Because I don't want to get stung by those huge hornets. Well, maybe we could burn them out. Maybe. You ever try to burn a hornet's nest out? It just pisses them off. And they've got really good vision. They will hunt your ass down and sting you until you can't move. No, I'm sorry. So we're not going to go poking the hornet's nest. We're not going to light it on fire, to try to get rid of them. No, because they will come at you. I'm telling you. So then what are we going to do? We're going to leave them alone. We are going to avoid them suckers. And if they look like they might get in the way, then we'll try to take them down at night. And we'll try to smoke them down to where they calm down, and we'll see about getting rid of them that way. Oh, really? Yeah. But right this minute, no, it's not the time to mess with this hornet's nest. So there are ways to mess with the hornet's nest without just poking it. So the same is true with politicians and other things. So you have to take a look at, there's 3/4 of the House of Representatives who are going to vote on this thing, and they're going to vote yes on this item. And you look around and you go, well, what kind of bill was that? Was it a Democrat or a Republican bill? Who did it really favor? In which aisle did it lean, right? And you go, well, it was sort of middle of the road, but there were some ties to the military industrial complex that was a little strange, but, they're going to be able to use a training space here. Okay, well, this school actually is an academy. It was a young adult kind of academy back in the day when the Catholics got a hold of it. So, and you want to return it to some of its former glory in that. Okay, well, we've got a good start with this and this and this and this. And so, we've got a place. If some young boy needs a place to stay, we got a couple of bunk beds. We got a place we can prepare some meals. We got to start. So, but in life with some other things, if you don't have some basics and all you got is the idea, then you got a lot further to go. Doesn't mean you can't get her done, but if you don't have some basic things, um, then you're got a lot of work ahead of you. And that doesn't mean that you can't get her done. All right. But so everybody along the way is going to have their own opinion about how it should be, how that you should plant the front lawn or pave it or scrape it or leave it all mowed, who knows. Um, and but at the same time, it's like it is life and you have to learn. Well, I picked out this color and I bought a gallon of paint. Yeah. And I started painting the fence out yonder. Really? And you look up the hill and you look out there, and there is this god awful, pukey looking color. And you go, oh, really? How much paint did you buy? Well, I just bought a gallon. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. You know, and I really like the color in the store. But now that I've painted the wrought iron on the gate up there, and you're listening intently, like, yes, I don't think I like the color. How much paint you got left? 3/4 of a gallon. Can you add a little white to it and change the color, you know? Oh, to where it doesn't look like baby shit? Oh, good idea. And add a little drop of blue maybe or something and stir it up real good. And then you end up with a not so bad color. Oh, so the paint that you put on the gate and everything up there, that's just a base coat, so it didn't hurt nothing. But you can go back over it then with this finish coat. And in that, it starts out with a good idea. You buy a gallon of paint, you think it'll work. Not so good. But then you take what you learned, which was the color don't look so good after I painted it, the gate. But now you have the option to fix it. So you've gotten your project up to this point. You've tried out the paint. You realize you don't like it, but you can fix it with a little white or something, and that fixes it all and gets your job done and whatever little project that you had going on, And then there's a feeling of accomplishment. Such and such needed this done, and we were able to come in here in a couple of hours. We got her done and fixed up, and now the people are better off and so forth. We did good work. So there are things like that that are going to be popping up. There's going to be some. You just knocked that off. What is up with you? Dog almighty, knocking the bed all down, I'm telling you. Well, I need to go crawl in that bed because I've been up for 2 days. So, but reconsider. Wait. Let me back up. Let me back that up. In a way, it's a reconsider. We have to keep Hawk is telling me, to keep an eye out, just not too far out ahead, future stuff. But it's off the horizon ain't 1,000 miles away. This horizon is like 20 miles away. So you're looking off in the distance, but not to the edge of the earth. So there are some folks that can't see that far. And because they're not very observant, no offense to these fine people now, but that they wouldn't know what they was looking at if they could see it. So one of the things you need to be aware of, all of us, think of today as you pulled the Hawk card, and it's Hawkeye Two Feathers. And I'm here to, reinforce what Hawk stands for. So we are looking into the future, into the distance, see if there's any rabbits or any game out there. We're also looking to see if there's any bobcats that might want to like to try to eat us, and catch us while we're trying to eat and catch somebody else, right? It's a two-way street there. So you're scouting out ahead and looking out. And maybe there's a league of Roman soldiers that are marching this way. And you're a freaking hawk or a bird or or whatever. But there is a legion of 700, fully armed, Roman soldiers stomping their way down the road, just wow. And you don't even know what a Roman soldier is. So, but because you're a bird, you go, wow, I need to keep an eye on them folk and stay out of their way. Next thing you know, there are arrows flying everywhere. And you, being that bird, just so happened to get winged, you were minding your own business and one of them arrows hit you from coming out of the woods somewhere, right? Now here you got caught up in the war. Well, it's not your intention. Don't even know who these foolish people are that come and invaded your woods. And now your wing is clipped. That your wing is clipped, and that when you were trying to mind your own business. What link is that, Scotty Bory? I missed it. I'm just curious. But so anyway, the interesting thing is that there are some interesting people that are talking about this stuff. Max, yeah, Max Vision. So we need to be able to perceive and glean from the internet like I do. I'm watching all these different channels and things and then having conversation with y'all. So look at the rest of what other folks are doing, and you don't necessarily have to be a soothsayer to be able to see patterns. And like Cliff High does with his little bots and stuff, they look for patterns and things. You too can do it, right? By looking, reading, and watching and seeing what pattern is developed, right? Politically or banking or anything like that. So they're really pushing the digital stuff. And one of the things that I argue about right now is I've got a credit card. Well, it's not really a credit card. It is a bank card. All right. So that bank card has a little chip on it that has information about me and my account. But I can plug it in and it will tell me how much I have access to. Now I don't have that. I'm not going to be able to step that money in my pocket unless it's only $5. But so I don't actually have the money. Well, yes, it's in the bank. Yeah, right. So, but if I go in and say, okay, I've got $200 left for the month. All right, let's go get some bread and milk, which is what I got to do tomorrow. Let me go get some bread and milk and some dog food because we're running low. And so, but I got enough on the card that I should be able to pay. Well, I don't actually have the money. So I use my card and go ding, enter my little passcode, right? And then say okay. And my card just paid for it. Ain't that digital currency? No, that's not Bitcoin. I know, but ain't it digital? Ain't it computerized? I didn't, nobody gave me $1. We didn't exchange any money. It went right through because it said okie dokie. CBDC. Is that what that? So this idea that everybody's worried about the digital dollar, I think we've had digital dollars for a long time, ever since we've had bank cards. Now it used to be that the cards were only for credit cards, and then they turned them into bank cards. So as long as I've got money in my personal account at the bank and the bank honors that card, then it can be turned into physical money, what's on that chip and what agrees with the bank's accounting, right? So ain't that already digital? It's transferred down the wire in little ones and zeros, you know, to what is claimed to be my balance versus the purchase that I made. So at the end of what I did, I got $100 left. I spent $100 at the store on dog food and milk and bread. Okay. So big deal. All right. So I still have $100. Is it digital? Well, I can go to the bank and they will give me a $100 bill for the balance of what's in my bank account. So, but is that $100 that's cold hard cash, whether it's fiat money or not? It's you got $100 in your hand. So, but then you can take that $100 if you don't want to carry it around and deposit it back in the bank. And now, when you take your card somewhere, it says there's $100 left on your card until I get my Social Security check, which ups it to whatever balance it is after the deposit. So, but it's digital. There are no checks involved anymore. It used to be that they sent a check in the mail. I signed the bank and went physically to the bank and deposited my check. Well, that was too difficult, and there was a lot of fraud with that. But there's still fraud going on because, Grandma Jones passed away, a year ago, and the grandkids have been cashing her check. Her checks still go into her bank account. And you go, yeah, but it's hers. Yeah, but all the kids knew Granny's password. So as long as they don't have a hiccup, as long as that money keeps getting deposited to that account, and as long as their card still works, then they got Granny's money. I say it happens all the time, but it happens. So this digital currency business, oh, well, if it goes into Bitcoin or blockchain or something like that, as long as my card and my bank, whichever I choose at that time, agree on what my balance is and that I can use my card at a place that will accept it, that I can trade some of those little invisible digits on my bank card and trade it in for items at the store, which is exactly what I've been doing ever since I got a bank card. So now you don't have to swipe it. Now you just beep it. Okay, that's good. It doesn't wear out anything. That's okay. So the new technology now, this is supposed to get us in trouble because you're supposed to have some kind of credit score or something and personal social score and all that. Well, that's weird and it shouldn't be tied to that. That's another discussion for another day. But what we're going to have to do is stand up as a population and say no. My card, the way I'm using it now, okay, fine. It already has too much information on that card. But I'm not going to add anything. You're not going to know what my heart rate is. You're not going to be able to do blah, blah, blah with my little card. No. It is a bank card. You can tell how much money is on the chip, and that's that. You can purchase from it because the value of what's on the chip is equal or to or less than whatever, blah, 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 blah. So, but this idea that we need to go into some other things, the answer is no. It's already as simple as it needs to get. Okay. Place the card, do the beep. I enter my 4 numbers, transaction complete. It's that fast. All right. So, what else do we need to do? So, we need to tell these people, look, stop. We like the system like this. We appreciate the fact that we can use our cards at ATMs and at stores and so forth. We want to keep this basic thing. I can deposit money, whether it's in the form of a real check or the government sends dots and zeros, and then that gets accredited to my account, which is what happens, right? So in this, I like the system just fine. Leave it alone. So we tell some of these banksters and people who think they know what the frick they're talking about. And as a collective, we need to be telling them, you know, don't be messing with this. Whether it's an email to somebody or to a bank president or somebody or something, we send an email and we be polite, but we say, no, we don't agree with this. We want to keep the system simple. And you're not doing it. So please don't. You know, whatever it is. But if we don't say anything, and the more people who just say no, just and because it's you think it's weird now, wait till the November. Whew, wait. You think it's weird now? Oh Lord. I have asked them not to let me see the future, but the future is so obvious that things are going to get slung around so much. We need to duck. We need to be ninja warriors like the Teenage Mutant Ninja ones. And if there's mudslinging coming at us, we need to duck to the right or scoot to the left, or you know how to get down quickly. Even us old people need to learn how to be more, you know, quick with our reflexes. But in this, there's going to be some people who die because they will have had it. And somebody else is going, does that guy over there, he said he's had enough. He said he's had too much. And what you going to do about it? He says, well, I've had it up to here. And then all of a sudden they notice a gun on his belt. Legal open carry in the state of Georgia. But there's some asshole sees him. He just said he was going to hurt somebody, and he's got a gun. He's got a gun, and he's going to be standing there going, what? Because people are going to go crazy, and they're going to be slipping because they've been watching the fake news for so long. But Joe's got a gun legally, but because he's standing in a crowd and is disgruntled with something, and he says, I ain't gonna put up with this shit no more. And then some fairy tale on the, you know, 2 or 3 peoples down, he's got a gun. He's got a gun. Did you hear him? He's got a gun. He's had it. He's going to pop one up. He's got a gun. Better shoot him before he shoots out. I hope that don't happen. But it's already starting to happen. The fodder is being slung. And I will continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. See how I slipped that segue in? I'm fixing to fall asleep here in a second. And so I'd rather log off before I fall asleep, because I have, you know, bit of sleep and done a half hour of a show back when Elderberry can attest to that, watching me fall asleep, you know. But anyway, so I don't want to do that. But you know, there's going to require a lot of praying, and we're going to have to keep an eye on stuff, you know. Yeah, it's right over there. Doug's already threw all my my new blanket and everything off that I put on the bed. Me and him going to have to argue. It's I'm much bigger than he is, but I get, you know, he can sleep on the bed part of the time, but when it's my turn, it's my turn. But so anyway, so I would say using Hawk in a way as a not necessarily to look into the future, but to look into the distance. And, you know, depending on where you live, what's going on, it might depend on how far out you want to look, right? You know, which is sort of like, I've discussed this before, it's sort of like remote viewing. And you just sort of sending your feelers out like, you know, I see this stuff happening around us. Show me what might happen. So for me, my vision quest would be to ask the universe, so here's what it looks like now with this and the business and that over there and the rain. And okay, now I'm going to close my eyes and see what comes up out of this. And so you want to push your mind's eye out to see what different probabilities there might be out there. And that's all you're looking for is probabilities. You know, could this happen? And what if, well, Jane Doe, she could come in over here from the right and just screw everything up, you know. Or maybe she's not even there. Or maybe, you know, we go talk to her and she'll stay out of the way, or, you know, depending on whatever it is the idea that you want to get across. Or do you want to see if you can survive until the elections? How do we get from here to there without getting shot at or wounded? You know, in any way, could be rocks, or watching the destruction of. In a lot of ways, what a lot of people feel, it's the end of society. If the election don't go well this time around, this is it. I mean, there's not even going to be a Christmas next year. It's going to be so crazy. And between Bitcoin and the digital stuff, whatever's going to happen, and the banks crashing and things, that there might not even be a Christmas next year at all. And, you know, at least in the United States. And what does that mean? And why not? And you know, why are folks saying those kinds of things now? A prelude, it's a warning to something. So you don't have to go into a trance. You know, you need to close your eyes and listen, not necessarily to the great mystery, but listen to what you've already heard. And you go, oh, they did say that, didn't they? Yep. Remember what Elon Musk said the other day, and he told everybody to F off? Yeah. Well, that was pretty bold, wasn't it? Yep. That's one single man standing up saying, enough. So it can be done. He's an example. So the rest of us need to take courage. See, I'm wrapping all this stuff up as I'm, finishing up here. But each one of us needs to gather courage from the tribe, from the pride of lions that we are, and stand up and go, no, I'm sorry, but I'm going to roar and say, no. And at the same time, I'm going to use the pride of being a lion and stand up with my fellow brothers and sisters, and we're going to agree on this. And because we, as this pride of lions who have agreed to say no to this, we're going to stand up, we're going to uplift our energies. And when we do, we're going to help to lift up the whole energy of humanity. And in the meantime, we'll continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings still hidden out there in the universe. See how I snuck that prayer in there? But it be the truth. So many people are depending on false gods and false promises and false prayers. They're worshiping things that have never been there, and deities that were made up. And folks will depend upon these deities to get them out of a jam. And if anything, the deity's sitting over there in another dimension going, what the hell are these stupid people praying to me for? I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to go get a hot dog and some tater chips, Wait a minute. What are you going to do? I'm going to watch these stupid humans. What? Yeah. Going to turn the cows loose, Okay. So, but in this general understanding of things, they're going to be throwing stuff out there. And, who do you worship? I don't worship anybody, right? I adore and I send prayers too, but I don't worship anybody. And, but do I believe in the Great Spirit and Holy Spirit? Absolutely. 110%. Do I believe in, cosmic energies, and do I believe in the Christ consciousness? Yes, to all the above. So it's not a question of faith or belief for me. Now, for other people, they're going to have to find their faith and they're going to have to find their belief system, and as I've been preaching for a while, keep it simple, and you'll be still right on. The law of one really works. And supposedly it came from outer space. So we'll see. Because in the meantime, me and Duggar will be praying each and every day that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe. We can do this. We can get over it. The Hopis say there's going to be one hell of a big bump. Actually, two of them. The first one's going to come around and smack us, and going to smack us so hard or get so close it's going to literally rip pieces of the earth off and throw it out into space. And then after that big old piece of planetoid goes by the first time, it takes a swing around and comes back by a second time, not doing as much damage the second time, but then finally going out into space. I don't know if I want to be around to see that. You know, I'm not looking to cash in tomorrow or the next day, but, you know, if this is what the Hopi elders are saying, somebody's got something to look forward to. Now, one of the animal cards suggests that there will be a large burning rock that hits the Pacific, and that Mu will come back out of the ocean and resurrect itself. So, and that it says that the big rock will land in a different ocean than where the last one landed. So, but anyway, my friends, I love you all. I do. Please stay safe and keep an eye on this chaos. It's going to be nutty. I'm here to tell you now, but y'all be safe. And orientation is locked. Ooh. Oh, okay. So how do I turn this off now? Right there. Okay. All right. So y'all be safe, and I'm going to get some rest. And it's going to be cold tonight and tomorrow. In a couple of days, it's going to be like 29 in the morning. So for us, that's pretty chilly, but you know, it's not unbearable. So anyway, stay warm, stay safe, stay healthy, and above all things, believe, 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 and have faith. I love y'all. Good night. The Hopi had been right so far. I really hope they're wrong. I really do. The way he described it is like there ain't gonna be much left after that. When he showed how it went around and come back around through the second time, I'm like, first time's gonna be bad enough. We can literally be clinging to trees and not get, thrown off into space. Uh, don't know if I got enough strength to make it past that one. Now, to think that there will be pieces of the earth flung into outer space. No matter how that gets done, it's going to be bad. All right. You're going to fling rocks and boulders and maybe mountaintops or something out into space. You're just going to pick them up and chunk them out. Yep. What? Well, doesn't that mean that some people could get chunked into outer space? I don't know. It didn't answer that part. But, my inquiring mind would like to know a little bit more detail. But the fact that there's some kind of large body that's going to come around the sun and then swing by the earth and supposedly hit it. But if nothing else, will hit it with the gravitational thing, like magnets will repel each other. And that's going to be enough of a bang. But the way he was describing it, one of the things that got me was that how fast is this thing traveling? Because speed has a lot to do with collision and timing and angle and so forth, like, hitting a cue ball on the table. So, where is this big boulder coming from? And it's supposed to hit us, and it's supposed to do this and that, and then go around the sun again. And wow, that's a lot of ping ponging. And my question to that is the way he described it, it did not seem natural. It seemed artificial, like a pinball machine. That's sort of what it reminded me of. Pinball machine. Hmm. But anyway, not to cut it, slack or anything like that. It's just that would need to look at what we saw and heard and discerned and sit down at your cud and see if what our first impression was actually the right impression. Need to double check that and go, let's ask the creator, is that really what they meant? Hmm. Okay. So I love you. It's going to be interesting coming up. So at towards the end of my lifetime here, I hope to be around for a while, but I mean, to have a giant planet come in and rip off part of the Earth, and I get to see it. Maybe, really, that's going to be interesting. I'll have my phone ready and charged, and we'll take pictures. Okay. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Yes, my dears. Stay safe and stay well. Till next time. I love you.